Maybe? Now it is. There we go. See, when you get old and you're sick and, you know, it's an awful thing, and, you know, I think I just snapped my fingernail when I tried to hit record, so, you know, it is what it is. I'm a hot mess. I really, really am. Thank you, Zach, for getting up out of your seat in there. You know, I hate to put you out. Yeah, it's such a long walk and it's so much work. Anyway, it was a beautiful week until it got to the end of the week and it got cold. So definitely you don't want to leave your pets outside. By all means, make sure that you get them in. They're only out for short breaks. And, you know, this wind is ungodly for a lot of reasons. But you have to think about sometimes your pets with the wind, because if they get spooked, if they get scared, if something breaks, if something blows by them, they could try to run. And, you know, it doesn't matter how rock solid your pet's temperament is, things happen. So especially in this kind of bad weather, please make sure that your pet's collars and harnesses are tight enough, not too tight, but tight enough so that they can't slip them. Too many animals are getting lost, and it's more heartache than really should have to happen, both for the people and the pets. So an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, is what they say. And while I'm on the topic of, you know, the weather and the wind and safeguarding your pets, times like this, if you have a fenced-in yard, probably a really, really good time to make sure that the wind hasn't blown anything loose and that you don't have holes in your fence now and your animals can get out and other animals can get in. You know, again, just that little bit of prevention makes for a whole lot less heartache and keeps everybody safe and well and alive. So that is my cold weather preaching for this evening. I'm sure that, you know, if you know me, you know well enough that I can find something to rant about no matter what. So I'm going to get on with the show now that we have discussed pet safety in wind and cold. I will say that, you know, if it seems like I am very sick, and I did say that, so bear with me if I'm slow and out of breath, because it's my asthma once again, because why wouldn't it be, especially with all of this fun weather that we're having doesn't help. Anyway, first up, we're going to take a look at Lily, pretty Lily. And look at that face. She is such a gorgeous girl. They're calling her a hound mix. I'm not sure I see that. Maybe I do, I don't know. She's about 10 months old, saying she's about 60 pounds and very sweet. I think I don't know. I don't know if I think she looks like a hound or she looks like something else, but I bet you she's a wonderful dog. You can tell by her eyes she's a sweetheart. Anyway, she is at the Waterford East Lyme Animal Control. And if you are interested in Pretty Lily, you can email aco@waterfordct.org. Once again, that's aco@waterfordct.org. Next up, we have a familiar face, and that would be Nellie. Now, Nellie is a dog that I have showed you before under different circumstances. She is a sweet old girl who was in desperate need of some TLC and a little medical tune-up. You know, her teeth were awful. I met Nellie, sorry. I met Nellie, and she was just such a love. But she needed a little bit of a tune-up, and the Sadie Mae Foundation took good care of her, and now Nellie is up for adoption. Now, at 11 years old, she just needs a soft place to land and lots of love. You can tell she loves her sunshine, and she loves her blankets. That's typical rat terrier. and that's what she is. And I can attest to the wonderful nature of rat terriers because my Kelly was a rat terrier. Gidget is rat chihuahua. You know, I've known other rat terriers. They're really, really sweet dogs. I mean, especially in their older age, they're a lot less active. And Nellie she's just such a sweet little cuddle bug. She was when I met her, even though she wasn't feeling too well. Anyway, if you are interested in giving Nellie a home, you can email the Sadie Mae Foundation. Contact them through their website at www.sadiemayfoundation.org. That's www.sadiemayfoundation.org. Now the next dog is Opie, and I just love his little kissy face. I mean, those lips are too much. They're to die for. Opie was dumped on a highway, and he was very scared and confused, and he proved to continue to have some emotional issues. You know, he remained confused and very scared, definitely scarred by whatever happened to him in his past life. He needs time to warm up to people before he allows himself to be touched. He is not certain that, you know, being touched, being pet, being hugged, being loved on is always going to be a good thing. And like I said, I think that's bearing the emotional scars of whatever his life was like before. And, you know, then of course he goes and gets dumped. And that's certainly not helping his trust factor or, you know, what he thinks humans are going to be with him. But anyway, once he accepts you, it's all good. And, you know, once he loves you, he loves you. So he will need a home with patience and understanding. You know, you can't have anybody just come in your house and decide they want to, you know, pet him or get to know him. He needs a few times around of, you know, being in your company before he will allow handling. And, you know, that's going to be something that you have to consider when you take him to a vet. That's going to be an ongoing work in progress. But I can tell by looking at him, he's probably so worth the extra effort. And the awesome thing is that he loves other dogs. No cats for Opie, and probably no kids. That's just something I'm throwing in there because you never know if a dog is a little bit uncomfortable about being touched. Probably don't want a smaller child anyway trying to reach out to him at random times when you know, he's not comfortable with it. That's a recipe for disaster. So he is neutered. He is up to date on his vaccinations. He is microchipped, and Opie is at the Dan Cosgrove Animal Shelter. And the number to call if you're interested in Opie is 203-315-4125. Now, I'll take the camera back for a hot second. I'm always talking about how distance shouldn't prevent you from adopting an animal or being interested in an animal. You know, yeah, there's long distance adoptions, and then there's drivable distance adoptions, and this would be one of those if you were interested. We have a senior who was dumped at a shelter in Newark, New Jersey. Now, it's not all that far. Let's get Theodore up, and, you know, needless to say, I love the name. This poor guy, 10 years old, finds himself in a shelter through no fault of his own. I don't know what his circumstance was. It was not elaborated, but they did make sure to say that it wasn't because Theodore did anything. He walks slowly on a leash, but he perks up when he sees other dogs. He loved being in the company of his former housemates. This poor baby will only eat when there is no one around. And he has shown, you know, no aggression, no antisocial behaviors, no nothing. I mean, he's mellow, he's sweet, He deserves a loving home and not to be on death row. Don't fool yourself, because most of these municipal shelters will not hold on to an older dog for long. So if you can look in that face and deny him a spot on your couch if you're looking for a dog, then you're missing out, and I can't get it. It's not that far. Anyway, if you want to find out more, go to the Facebook page AHS Newark branch, or give a call to 973-824-7080. Once again, that's 973-824-7080. Next dog up is Roxy. Now, there's not a whole lot of info available on her, but there is certainly a whole lot of cuteness going on. Now, Roxy is at the City of Shelton Animal Shelter. They're saying she is about 7 months old and as sweet as can be. Personally, think she has the most gorgeous smile. I mean, she lights up the TV set. She lights up the room. I'm sure she would light up your life. They do say that she is high energy and good with other pets, and probably best with older children. Now, of course, any puppy is going to be a more high energy animal, and she looks like she's got a little spunk in her as well. So I'm sure that she would keep a family very busy and very happy as well. And it's that energy level with these young dogs and with the bigger dogs, that you do want to just be careful with the smaller children, because they're going to get knocked over, they're going to get hurt, and then nobody's going to be happy, because it's going to end up being the dog's fault. And the child is going to feel differently about the dog, and we want to keep everybody safe and happy and home. So that's why a lot of times the requirement is for older children. Anyway, if you're interested in Roxy, the number to call would be 203-924-2501. Once again, that's 203-924-2501. Next up is a face that I want to smooch. Her name is Honeycrisp. Now, I I just love her face. Breaks my heart to see her looking so unsure, I guess. She is at Stratford Animal Control. She's about 2 years old, spayed, up to date, microchipped, and said to be good with other animals and very friendly. I think she's a beautiful girl. Again, so much soul in the eyes of a dog. I would love to just smooch her. She looks so unsure, and I don't know, it makes me want to comfort her and love her and make her know it's going to be okay. Anyway, if you are interested in Honeycrisp, you can call 203-385-4068. Once again, that's 203-385-4068. This next guy is a real hard luck story. Jake. If we could get Jake up. He looks like a lost soul. And again, I just want to reach into that TV screen and let him know that things are going to be okay. Jake was left homeless when his owner died. He was found by police at the residence when they responded to an untimely death report. So you can only imagine how that must have gone for Jake. His owner dies right there in front of him. He's in the house. People come in and, take his owner away, take him away. He doesn't know what happened. He's never going home again. He's never going to see his owner again. You can kind of see all that in his eyes, and it just breaks my heart. Jake is 3 years old. He's neutered. He's up to date with his rabies, and the best situation for him would be to be the only dog. Jake really does need to know life will be okay again. I'm sure that, he's grieving, as we all would be grieving, and just kind of needs, sooner than later, a nice home to love him and, get him past his sad event. Anyway, if you are interested in Jake, you can call 860-742-4068. 888-888-8274. Now, on to some events that we have. I'll take the camera back for a moment because I know you all want to see how sick I look tonight. Anyway, I love talking about some of the events that, I put up here on the show. If you have an event that you would like for me to give a plug to, by all means, you can put it up on the Posse Presents Facebook page. You can message it to me either through that page or my personal page. I'm more than happy, if it's an animal-related event, to give it a shout-out. And some events are like fun things, and some events are health things. So we've got a little bit of both. Next weekend, there is a free rabies clinic. And if we can get up, you can flip back and forth between those two. This is actually just a screenshot that was sent to me as a reminder on March 11th between 10 and 2 at the Beacon Falls Senior Center at 57 North Main Street in Beacon Falls. There are 3 pet limit per person. Dogs must be on leashes. Cats must be in carriers. That's just common sense. The directions are right there. You're gonna look for the sign. Where's the other one? The second picture, Zach? There you go. The free rabies clinic sign is going to look like that. That's what you're gonna be looking for. So you know you're there. I was asked to make sure I pointed that out. But if you have you can go back to the other one. If you have a certificate that your pet is current with rabies at this time, they will give you a 3-year certificate rather than a 1-year. So, rabies is a requirement by the law, and, there's nothing better than free. So if you are able to get down there, I would suggest you get there early, only because, once it's filled up, it's filled up. And once they're gone, they're gone. And, the one that I did go to, there was a very long line, and I was glad we got there early. Of course, that was the dead of summer, but, you're kind of stuck waiting with your dog and all the other dogs, and, that doesn't always go to be as much fun as you might think it is. Bark, bark, huh, Zach? He's laughing. I'll take the camera back for a second. We took my little man, as a matter of fact, last summer to a rabies clinic. And I'll tell you, he was just barking away, and that's just a bark, bark, bark. There was, Zach is in there answering me. There was like a moment of silence. 90 dogs were in and out of that place. There was a moment of silence, and then all of a sudden, it was bark, bark, bark. And little man barked his way through the whole thing, and it was loads of fun. But anyway, I digress, but I'm having fun, so that doesn't matter. Now, here's something that not every pet is a good candidate for anesthesia. And, that can be an age thing, that can be a health thing. A lot of times the heart isn't strong enough. If the dog has a heart murmur, you're not necessarily trying to put an animal under anesthesia. But dental health is something that's very important by the same token. And most of the times when you do a dental on a dog, or even a cat, but we're talking about dogs here, you put them under so that, the vet can do their thing and clean their teeth, and it certainly goes a lot easier. But there is an event coming up where you can get a dental cleaning for your dog without anesthesia. We do have a little picture to go with it, so if you want to put that up, you can flash that. It's kind of a cute image. Anyway, on May 3rd, during business hours of the day, like every 20 minutes or so, they're making appointments. Reservations are required. I'm not entirely sure of the process that they use. You know, I've done some research and gotten some answers, but I don't have all of them. But if this is something that, you know, your dog just can't be put under, you might want to find out more. And if you do, you can call 203-265-7881. I'll take the camera back. You know, dental health is very important. If you have a dog who hasn't always eaten the best food, if you have a dog who is prone to tartar, you know, unless you brush their teeth, and some people do religiously brush their dog's teeth, you know, they get the buildup and they get the plaque, and it can actually cause blood poisoning if it gets bad enough, and that will, you know, affect the organs, it'll affect the heart, it'll affect the dog's overall health, and shorten its lifespan in some cases. So dental health, kind of important for your animal. Just thought I saw this and I'd throw it out there to anybody who wanted to explore it. Next event is For the Love of Jack is having a first annual casino bus trip. So if we can get that up for a second there. That is going to be on March 25th, leaving Torrington at 9:30 a.m. and leaving Mohegan Sun at 5:30 p.m. So it's a long day, that's for sure. But it will be a fun-filled bus ride. And you know, there's always something fun at the casino as well. And you will be supporting For the Love of Jack's mission to help sick, injured, and hungry animals. And it's a very good organization. Very pleased to be friends with Sherry. I'll take the camera back, who is just a really amazing person and goes above and beyond to help animals who need her. And she is a spoiler, and it's kind of funny to watch her in motion because, yeah, Auntie Sherry never says no, and she knows it, and she's proud of it too. But, you know, hey, we all have our thing, right? Let's look at, let's go through the pictures of those dogs again, if you will, Zach. We've got Lily and Nellie and Opie and Theodore and Roxy and Honeycrisp and Jake, all looking for homes. You know, it's so sad to know that some of these animals end up in shelters after having horrible lives, and some of these dogs end up in shelters after having the life. And either way, it's heartbreaking that they're displaced, you know, whether it's because, like in Opie's case, he was probably abused and dumped out of a car onto a highway, never known a kind word probably, or a gentle touch, or it's someone like Theodore or Nellie or Jake even, who, you know, lived with their owner for a time and were cared for, and, you know, something happens and suddenly they're not home anymore. They don't understand. They don't know what's going on. It's just heartbreaking. So really, if you can adopt an animal, you're doing such a service to that animal, and you know, you're going to enrich your life as well. So again, I'm always going to preach to adopt a pet. And if you can't adopt, I can tell you once again, fostering is just such a stepping stone to help the animals heal and to help the animals be ready to be the best that they can be in a home. You know, if a dog goes from, or even a cat goes from the shelter to a new home, there's no information. You kind of don't know what you're getting. But if that animal's been in a foster home, interacting with a family, there's so much more information that can be passed on to the forever home. There's so many more things about that pet that the next person will know. Sometimes they'll know it's the right pet for them. Sometimes it's the best way to know. a pet isn't going to be for you, because not every pet is going to be good with every family. And you know, I get the whole bit about how it's a little bit hit or miss when you adopt, and you don't, especially when you adopt from a pound with no history. But you know, these animals are so worth it, and worth the effort and the time that you can spend to get to know them and to make them your own. There's nothing better than to see how an animal grows and becomes itself, and sometimes even a better version of itself when it's in the right situation. It's a really amazing process, and I'm even seeing so many things every day about my little man who came home in August. Nope, in July. That's when your birthday is, Theo. Came home with me the night before my birthday in July, and he, you know, has gone from that confused state of where am I, and you know, who are you and what's going on here, to he wants mommy. He barks for everything he wants. Bark, bark. Go ahead, Zach. He's laughing. You know, he's grown so, and he's come into his own, and it really is, it's the most amazing thing that you can ever go through. You know, some people think it's having a kid. No, it's having a dog. Anyway, I'm gonna say peace, love, and dogs, and I'll make sure to hit the record button so it stops recording now. Thank you and good night.
Across America, excess food